Hey everybody, today we're going to be going over the top Air Force heroes. This is the third video in the installment, so this will kind of cover the last of the videos, and then we'll do little updates throughout as other heroes are released. So with that, the preview will show you the free-to-play heroes. So we have Nadia, Edward, Lady Zizek, Tianmu, Hartman, Savage. I call him Sausage a lot, so just a heads up that if I say Sausage throughout the video, I'm referring to Savage. Arthur Harris, Rockfield, Ricardo, and Dr. Giro. With this, whether you're free to play or pay to win, your first two heroes will be the same. So you will have Ricardo. He would be your purple SR hero that you'd want to work on and max him up very quickly. And then you have Tianmu, who you also want to max out quickly. Tianmu's skill is kind of a hard one to understand because all the different skill tips don't spell it out very well. So what he does is this one kind of spells it out the best. So your air forces will obtain strong armor and slightly reduced damage dealt by the enemy. So basically you get like an HP boost and you reduce your damage taken. And then on top of that, you gain, once you get his skill to level 3, you actually gain a damage increase as well. So he's kind of your best all-around air force, and he'll be involved in whether you're free to play or pay to win. From there, if you are a free-to-play player, your next hero would be Rockfield. He is quite a powerful hero right off the bat. He launches a supersized bombard, which causes damage equal to 15% of the enemy's max HP. So if he's fighting army, that's going to be very devastating because army units have a high HP, and that would very quickly lower their that HP down. The downside to Rockfield is that he has some reductions that go along with that, and it's really hard to understand them, but if your average level is lower than the enemy's, each level gap reduces the damage by half. So what that means is if the troop you send is lower than, if the average of your troops is lower than the average of the enemy's troops, you lower your damage by half of that 15% for each level. So if you're level 80, if you're sending all 79s and they're level 80, your 15% goes down to 7%. If you're sending level 78s, your 15% goes down to 7 and then down to 3. So, and then if the number of your units is less than the enemy's, the damage will be reduced by 1% for every 1% gap. So as you can see, his skill really gets nerfed if he's not the most, or doesn't have the top level units or the top amount of troops. So for him, it's very important to have march size on him and have a top level march size. And it's also important to make sure you're sending level 82 troops with him. That way you're not at that disadvantage where you don't have to worry about that happening. So that would be your two free-to-play heroes. If for some reason you magically manage to get a third hero as a free-to-play, it's hard to say who the next best would be. Technically, Villers is free to play. You get it in a couple events we've had, but if you're not including events, then you'd probably go with Arthur Harris just because of his ability to the damage increase. Sorry, when the battle begins, there's a chance to soften the enemy's armor. The damage will be increased by 30%. So basically, he reduces the enemy's armor by a percentage. Makes your damage increase go up. He'd probably be your third free to play if you were to get one, but most likely you're going to be pretty good, well off with Tianmu and Rockfield. If you are a pay to win player, the progress doesn't change, so it is Ricardo, and then Tianmu were your first two, and then from Tianmu you can go to Rockfield or Tsuru. Tsuru is not always available, so sometimes it's hard to find her. I know right now we actually have her, I believe we have her in a point store. Let's check in here. Yep, so we have Tianmu in our point store. But if you're not able to get her, you can definitely start with Rockfield and get Tsuru as your third hero once you get her, or vice versa. If you get Tsuru early, do Tianmu and Tsuru, and then do Rockfield as your third hero after. Those are kind of the three heroes that you want to run for Air Force. I do want to make some small mentions of other heroes that are actually pretty useful for Air Force, even though they're not. They might not be your best Air Force heroes, but they're just good general all-around heroes. So Villiers has a very unique skill where she has this active skill that the damage decrease of all forces by 13.3%. So basically, she has a skill that you can activate. So you have to activate this in her screen using this 5 out of 5 button. So you'll hit this, and it'll pop up use a skill to reduce the damage taken. And I always hit don't show again, even though it'll pop up tomorrow after reset again. And then you hit use skill, and it's used. It gives you a 10-minute timer. You can tap it again, and it'll just add and stack. So you can do all 50 minutes at once. And then her other skill is just, the other part of her skill is just a 40% increase to all forces. So she would definitely be a good, kind of like a defensive hero for anybody looking for one, because she goes for all units, not just Air Force. Another good all-around hero is Dante, believe it or not. So he increases the attack of Air Force by 22% and the HP by 10.3%. When using this hero in your defense, that happens for all troops. So in other words, if he's on defense, he is not technically just an Air Force troop hero. He is both Air Force and Navy and Army. So if you were to put Villiers and Dante together on defense, it would definitely be a pretty powerful thing. Not saying that they're going to be the best defensive heroes in the game, but they are well-rounded, so you could have them as your main heroes and then use them on defense once you start getting your Tianmu and Rockfield up. And then they would also both work for Army and Navy too. So that kind of leads us into another topic with Air Force. If you want to be an Air Force main, you probably should be prepared to be pay to win. Being a free-to-play Air Force main would be quite difficult because you can't be just Air Force. And what I mean by that is if you come into your base, you'll see, okay, I have tons and tons of tanks everywhere. So I can have lots and lots of tanks. And if I tell you how many tanks I have about 500 tanks on the surface right now. That plus what's in my garage. For Air Force, take that 500 and divide it by 4, because one Air Force unit takes up 4 spots. So that 500 tanks becomes 125 very quickly. So to be a strong Air Force person, you have to have Navy as your defense. You can't have Army because you won't have any room for tanks and planes at the same time. You have to have Navy as your defense because you need to have a place to have troops to be defensive. So that's just something to keep in mind, that you basically have to have 2 mains as Air Force. I mean, you can technically go defenseless, but then you're leaving yourself open in events like during Obsidian. If you get hit 3 times really quick and you don't have your main force home, you're going to get ported. Same with any event where you can be hit, you will get ported very quickly if you don't have some kind of defense there to prevent yourself from being attacked. So just something to keep in mind, that you can be an Air Force main as free to play, but I highly suggest choosing Army or Navy, because for the simple fact that you can, as an Army, you are your own defense. You don't need to have Navy. As Navy, you actually have the choice to have Army or Air Force because all your ships are in the water, and then all your land's open to have whichever one you want. So just something to keep in mind. But just kind of as a recap, whether you're free to play or pay to win, you want to start with Ricardo, Tianmu, and Rockfield. Those are your main heroes. And then you would want to jump into Tsuru for your third hero. With that, I'm actually going to show you, I did it with the Navy, and I'm going to do it again here. So this is a high-level Air Force player. This is the progression that they advise you to take with how you approach being a Air Force main. So they say Ricardo to 5-star, Tien to 4-star, Rockfield to 4-star, and then Tien and Rockfield to 5-star. With that, you would take out Ricardo once you get Rockfield to 4-star and replace Ricardo, and Ricardo can go be a nice glorified gatherer. With that, then you would go to adding your perks. So you want to make sure you get all the perks, the the Air Force attack perk, the all unit attack perk, the HP would be the all unit HP, and then you want to do all your basically the same perks over and over. And then you want to work on Tsuru to 5-star once you get that third hero. And like I said earlier in the video, you can switch out Tsuru and Rockfield. If you get Tsuru early on, definitely work on her over Rockfield. Even though it's easier to get Rockfield technically because you have the elite vouchers and premium vouchers that you can get them from. Tsuru is definitely the better of the two heroes, so you want to get her leveled up as fast as possible. And even down at the bottom here, you can see there's definitely that Air Force disclaimer where it says air is not for everyone. Everyone and their moms has an army waiting to pounce on you. And I didn't even mention that there's a lot of army mains out there. So on top of that, you have them coming at you as well. So you either have to go deep into the perks or level up Navy to counter the armies coming for you. This requires a lot of time and usually money to pull off. It's almost impossible to do as free to play, so keep this in mind. A well-equipped Navy is dangerous as well, so keep those suppressions levels up. So what he's saying there also is you need to keep your suppression level for Air Force up to counter navies, especially with the new Akatora hero coming out. You're going to want to make sure that you level up your suppressions very quickly to kind of help counter his powerful skill. And then for your skills, he says rare march, normal march, rare damage, and rare navy attack. None of their exclusive skills are really worth carrying or putting on for these heroes, so just something to keep in mind with that. With that, I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you for listening. Please enjoy your day and night. And remember to like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. And see ya.